Hey, Bad Girl Mystic here, and welcome to another episode of The Coloring Connection, where I share with you how I use coloring and witchcraft to create my own formula for transformation from trauma. And today is Magic Monday, so I thought I'd share with you a little bit about creating your own alchemy, creating your own formula. In Amy's planner, she writes, "Wield thy power, witchy, wonderful you." And I love that. Her everything she writes and encourages, it's light, and I like that. And the reason I like that is when you're dealing with something so heavy as trauma, the shadows and the heaviness, it's already there. You don't need to invoke it. In fact, to move it out, you actually need to lighten it up. It's already anchored pretty heavy. So the lightness and the joy helps kind of unlatch it from the nervous system and gives you different tools to process. So she has a few little notes that I just wanted to start off with sharing. She says, get to know what you really want, and then use the powers of the universe to give you the boost. Work witchier. Less is more. Go for broader feelings rather than, being super specific. Let the surprise for the magic, let it surprise you. And what I think is very important, this I learned in NLP, and this is very powerful, is to break the habit of using double negatives and to break the habit of stating what you want to push away and start invoking what it is that you want to bring in. So her example is, instead of writing, "I want to stop being an emotional wreck," instead put out the intention you want to feel at ease with your emotions. And the reason I was saying I wanted to share the formula is because, and here's the book. I know I've been looking at who's looking at these videos, and like so many of you I have connected with since back from the Periscope days. And I've thought about it in so many different ways. Even though I've only been practicing witchcraft for a year, I've been practicing human alchemy and studying it from an emotional, physical, mental, spiritual for over 30 years. In fact, we just recently went to storage and I found my old meditation box when I first started meditating and doing yoga. This is like stuff from like the early 90s, my pendulum, my guitar pick that I briefly tried to play guitar and realized that musical talent was something that my mom did not pass on to me. A little charm from a necklace I made, a lucky penny. But this is what I wanted to share with you. This I kept, and this still stands true for me today. A friend of mine had given this to me when I first started meditating on this particular path of Surat Shabad Yoga. A practice is not so much about achieving a goal, but avoiding something, improving yourself, waiting for your wishes to come true, or even it's about creating a positive environment internally and externally for the awakening process to take hold. A practice provides a path that we may walk on, fall from, climb back on, and relate to life in a direct and dignified way. And the author, it's kind of old and worn out. I think it was Richard Heckler. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. If I find it, I'll share it. And then I found my crystals, and this is like such a time capsule. I've collected these over the years and been gifted, and really nice to have my friends back. And I found an old piece of sage wrapped in yarn from my very first knitting project. And as you can see, I also have my chi balls and my massage roller. Because when we're doing alchemy and we're moving emotion, especially from trauma, we need to move also metabolic waste. When we are triggered, we release so much of what's called the adrenaline hormones and cortisol that are great short term, but when they're locked in the tissues, they create havoc long term with our health. So any alchemy that we work, even if we're working internally, emotionally, we need to pay attention to the external, because our thoughts, our intentions, our emotions, and this has been proved by the placebo effect, create our cellular tissue, our cellular material. Now, for myself, I had all these plans for January. I wanted to do all the spells in the book. I had big, big goals. And as I mentioned in the earlier videos, I had a situation around our home with a man being violent with a woman here. And so this brought on my own hyper vigilance for my own safety and awareness. And we're good. We're good. So as I'm working through this and waiting for this situation to be resolved, what I've noticed, like the Taurus in me, the Venus, I want everything to be beautiful and pretty that I color and light. But what's been coming out is shadows. What I've been drawn to, which I've never used in my coloring before, is very dark, murky, shadowy coloring. So now the colors I've been working with this month, I've been focusing mostly on the colors of the month that Amy suggests: the red, the blue, and the black. Blue is calming, red is power, black is mystery and shadows. And also makes sense to me. I mean, even in the 90s, I think even in high school, I started wearing all black. One, because it was so rock and roll, but I don't remember where I first heard it, but I heard that it's very protective. So even as a kid, I started wearing it. I haven't progressed as far as I'd like to. I had wanted to do a book protection spell. Haven't gotten that done, and that's okay. But that's my biggest priority. And then she has all these other wonderful pages with so much information, all of which I would love to color, and I haven't. So what I'm getting to is there's, when we do our alchemy and we do our formula, and we work with the elements for trauma, the important thing is, one, get the basics down. So every day I show up and I make sure I am incorporating all the elements. Then in my coloring, I just see where it goes. Now this one turned out lighter. Here I am, once again, drawn to the darker. I'm still working on this page. Then did some shadowing. So there's a little darker than I normally do. And definitely very, I've made mistakes, and I've just used the fucking technique and just start throwing color down on a page. Like right here, I had a very different idea of what I wanted for this page. And I went with the purple because red and blue make purple, and there's a lot of black and gray in this purple that I added too. So I can see where this month what I'm feeling is definitely appearing on the page and what I've been going through. And I'm moving through it. I've been taking care of myself. I'm sleeping a lot. And I've got some herbs on order that I want to use that'll support my adrenals, and some flower essences. So once again, it's like when we make our own alchemy for trauma, it's like she says, you leave the space for the magic to talk back to you and give you direction. So even though I had these big plans to get all these spells done, what's been most important is showing up every day, touching the color, touching the elements, being with what gives me joy, and seeing where it takes me. Peace out.